Hello, and welcome to the Department of Human Services Advising Orientation video recording. I'm Dr. James Ruby. I'm a professor in the Department of Human Services, and I look forward to sharing with you some information about our degree and how you fulfill the requirements for our degree in as an efficient way as possible. Look forward to sharing this information with you. Hope you find it useful. And of course, please feel free to reach out if you have questions along the way. I'm going to encourage you to have a couple of things handy. The first thing you'll want to find is a pencil and paper, something to write with, or something digitally to take notes with to help you keep track of some of this information. There's a lot of information here I'm going to be sharing. And also, it may be a place for you to jot down where you have some questions, things that you want to follow up on and get some information. I'm also going to encourage you to go to our website and find a way to get some of the resources that I'm going to be sharing with you. So I'm pulling that up here. I want to make sure that you have the link to it so that you can find us at the Department of Human Services. So I'm going to put here in the chat box of this recording for us the website to find the documents and things that I'll be sharing. So hopefully in the chat box you've seen that now. hhd.fullerton.edu/HUSR, HUSR stands for Human Services. Okay, so let's get underway. I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to talk about this major and how to help you graduate before you get to my age. Okay, so hopefully in front of you, you see a PowerPoint. It says, "Welcome to the Human Services Department." This has been revised information as of September 2021, so hopefully it'll be useful to you as we go through. So just some very basic things to begin with. The Department of Human Services has over 800 students who are majoring in it. We have several minors as well. We have 15 full-time faculty who come from various disciplines: addictions, public health, social work, psychology, counseling, marriage and family therapy, anthropology, gerontology, human development, on and on. So we bring a lot of rich variation and diversity to our full-time faculty, which is reflective of what human services is. Very much an interdisciplinary way about looking at how we help other people. Okay, and we have well over 20 adjunct faculty members, lecturers as they're called, that we work with as well. Every semester we have over 80 sections of courses. And we do offer courses in the summer for you as you plan your degree. So to look at the required courses for a Bachelor of Science in Human Services, it requires 54 units. So each class is typically 3 units. We have one unit class, but we'll talk about that. But it's not required, and some people take it, some people don't. But you need 54 units altogether to earn your degree. There are 48 units of upper division general education. Of general education that are required. 9 of those units have to be upper division, which means that they have to be completed in residence. So what does that mean? 9 units, 3 classes of your general education requirements must be completed here at Cal State University Fullerton. So even though you're transferring in from a community college, you might be thinking, haven't I taken all of my general education requirements? No, you have not. There's 3 units, 3 classes, 9 units of upper level GE courses, general education courses, that you have to complete here at Cal State Fullerton. That's true of anybody who's coming. You add in that to your electives, you build a total of 120 units. You must have a minimum of 120 units to graduate. So I mention this because this is pretty important, and occasionally a student will get tripped up along the way. They've completed their 54 units for our major, and we as a major advisors are saying, yep, you're doing well, you're getting all the classes you need for the major. They maybe have 48 units of general education, and they're thinking, okay, I'm done. but you add that together, it doesn't come to 120. So there are electives that you must take in order to round out that total to 120. There are electives within human services you can take, but there's electives from many other departments that you might find meaningful. Everything from exercise classes in kinesiology to dance classes, music classes, classes in specific like languages and things like that. So there's a lot of options for you to learn a lot of different things while you're here. So we have a program planning guide. This is available to you on the website. I'm going to stop sharing this item and then share a different item with you. I'm going to share that program planning guide so that you can see what we're talking about. When you open up the guide, this is the first page. It talks about a little bit about the history. So we've been at this for a while. In 2022, we will be celebrating our 50th year as a department, as a major here at Cal State Fullerton. And the second page here has information about how you contact us. The third page is really a very useful page. This is your program planning guide. So you'll notice there at the top, it talks about how many units you must have. And then we break down the required courses into different sections, A, B, C, and D. A is about those theoretical orientation courses. B is about working with specific populations and things related to just working with human beings. We'll say more about it. C is research and evaluation, and then D is your skills or fieldwork requirements. So if you add all that up, it doesn't come to 54 units because you were also required to have 18 elective units. Okay, so the electives are tied to your concentration, but again, we'll talk more about that in a minute. But this guide might be a handy thing to have as I go through the rest of this demonstration with you. So you can go to the website, look at the Human Services major link, pull down, download this item, save it, and even if you print it out if you want to write on. So I'm going to stop sharing this, go back to the PowerPoint and dive back in. Okay, so in conjunction, in addition to the program planning sheet, we're going to take a look at these different sections, right? I said A, B, C, and D. So section A is theoretical foundations, things about interventions. So at the core of it all is an introduction to human services. This is required for any transfers who are coming in from the community college who have not had this course already. So you need to take it your first semester. Preferably, you can also take Human Services 380 or Counseling 380. They're the same course. That is Theories and Techniques of Counseling and Psychotherapy. These two courses are a broad overview. 201 is a broad overview to the field of human services. 380 is a broad overview of all the different theories related to understanding counseling and psychotherapy. So you learn about Freud, you learn about Adler, you learn about Piaget, you learn about all these key theorists historically, and then how their work and other people's work, feminist theories, postmodern theories, we try to make it as modern as we can as well. It's not just a history class, but we look at how those theories inform the work that we do in the helping professions. And then the third class is a class in case management, 310. These are all core required courses. Everyone needs to take these. Case management is about building a helping strategy to serve the whole person, a biopsychosocial understanding of helping another. The second section has to do with working with specific populations and working with people from diverse communities, okay? So Human Services 411 is a required course, and it is what I would call our cultural diversity course. This is where we look at how do we deliver services to a variety of different communities coming from cultural backgrounds that might be very different from our own, and what are the biases and prejudices we might hold, and how do we work through those to be able to be an effective human services professional. So that course is both theoretical, but also very personal and reflecting on our own growth. We have two other courses that are required that you will fulfill in other people's departments, other departments. So one course has to do with human development. You may take either, as you see it on the screen, CAS or Child and Adolescent Studies 312, which is a human growth and development course, or you can take Psych 361. which is a developmental psychology course. Both of these courses will review for the student the important stages of human development and how different stages will have different challenges for individuals and how we go about trying to help people work through those developmental challenges. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, think back to middle school. There you go. We all have developmental challenges at different times in our lives, and we maybe need some help along the way. The other course is a course in looking at, we may call it dysfunction or challenges related to either mental health, which is reflected in Psych 341. That's the abnormal psychology course, where you learn about like the major mental health disorders, or Sociology 351, which looks at sociology to family and looks at challenges that can happen within family systems. Both of these courses are very interesting. Both of them actually will count in your general education requirements. But I would just mention this, and this is one of those moments you may want to write this down. If you're looking at going on and wanting to do a master's in marriage and family therapy or mental health counseling, Psych 341 is very often a prerequisite for those degrees. So you would want to select that one. If you're thinking about going on and doing a master's in social work, either one would work. Social 351 actually might work even a little bit better because we look at things from a micro, small, or macro, larger, or systemic point, and that would give you some unique insights there. Okay, but these are 3 courses, but you'll notice you have options from 2 of them. The third section is research and evaluation. This is everybody's favorite section. If you are coming to us from a community college and you've already taken a stats class, it's very likely that you won't have to take 315 with us. We have articulation agreements. We'll talk about that more in a moment, but where we look at courses that you take at the community college that can count for us. But Human Services 315 is a course called Research and Data Management. So it's actually a little bit different than stats. It's not as mathematically oriented as the stats class is. This course really looks more about research methodology and how we gather data and interpret data in the world of human services. Human Services 385 is a required course that everybody takes. You can't transfer this one in. This is called Program Design and Proposal Writing. Another way to think about it is grant writing. How do you design a program to meet the needs of a particular people group in a particular community? This course helps you figure out how to do it. And how do you design the program in such a way that you provide a very strong rationale or a strong reason for having the program that inspires somebody who might be willing to give you money to support the program? And how do you design it in a way that you can measure its effectiveness? All of that goes into that particular course. It's a unique course to our program, and it is, excuse me, one of the more valuable ones, even though it can be challenging. It is our primary writing course for our major. Every major has a primary writing course here at Cal State Fullerton, and ours is 385. You write a very comprehensive program proposal as a part of the requirements for this course. And then last but not least is Human Services 470, which is an evaluation of human services program or program evaluation. So how do you know your program's made a difference? Do you just ask people if it's made a difference? Well, is that really valid? Because it's just their opinion, right? So how do you go about doing formative assessment where you look at, see how things are going along the way so that you can adjust if you need to? Summative assessment where you look at it at the end and see how well you've done, pre and post tests, all those sorts of things. So again, this is a unique course for our program. Many undergraduate programs don't have this sort of comprehensive understanding of program evaluation, and I'm proud that ours does. So you'll see that there are some prereqs for those courses. 385 must be taken before 470. 315 must be taken before 385. So if you're coming in with your community college, from your community college and you've already taken stats, once you complete 396, that's your first field work. We'll talk more about that in a moment. You can go ahead and enroll in 385. And then after 385, you take 470. So yeah. One of the unique benchmarks or unique hallmarks and things about our particular major is field work. We require 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 semesters of field work. And each one of these semesters, students are completing 120 hours of volunteer work in a community-based setting, learning how to engage with clients, learning how to, whatever the tasks are at that particular site that are meaningful to them. And you have 3 semesters of that as a part of our program. Why do we have 3 semesters, you might be asking? Well, we're accredited by the Council on Standards for Human Services Education. And that council accreditation, that national accreditation, requires about 350 hours of fieldwork experience. And so we break it into 3 semesters instead of 2, because many students need to have a part-time job or whatever, want to have a life. So we break it up into three semesters. They cannot be taken concurrently. One has to be taken after the other. So students must take 396 first, they must take 495 second, and they must take 496 third. Now, there's a couple of exceptions to that. We have a course called Character and Conflict, Human Services 300, and that course involves the use of small groups. And so the small group facilitators in that class are actually students, just like you, who are fulfilling their field work by way of facilitating and leading these small groups. So the students who are doing that work do not take 396 or 496, they take 490 instead. So 490 can replace two semesters of this field work. Or if a student is in a concentration or elementary education concentration, which again, we'll talk about concentrations more in a moment. But if you are in the elementary education concentration, and you plan to go on and go into a teaching credential program, one of the semesters of fieldwork has to take place in the school, and the supervision course for that is ED8EL, or Elementary Education 315. So that would replace one of these as well. So let's talk a little bit more about fieldwork. You may be wondering, well, how in the world do I find it? Don't worry, we have a fieldwork coordinator, Julie Martinez. She's wonderful. We partner with the Center on Internships and Community Engagement to offer a wide variety of placements for our students. We offer Zoom fieldwork orientations online to answer questions. So there's a link there to our fieldwork webpage. You can go and learn a little bit more about how fieldwork works, how many different agencies we work with, all those sorts of things. But we're very proud of our fieldwork partnerships and the impact we are able to make in the community with our students, and the impact those community agencies and partners are able to make in the lives of our students. You graduate from Cal State Fullerton with a Bachelor of Science in Human Services with 1.5 years of experience because of the fieldwork requirement. So many of you might be coming in and transferring credits from your community college. The classes that most typically within our major are somehow covered oftentimes in your community college is Human Services 201, that's the introduction class. CAS 312 or Psych 361, that's the human development courses. SOC 351 or Psych 341, that's either sociology to family or abnormal psychology. And then Human Services 315, which is the research class. Very often that's fulfilled by the stats class at your community college. So those are typically, if everything goes well, when you transfer in from your community college, the Titan degree audit process identifies those courses, and they will just automatically be filled in your Titan degree audit, and you do not have to take them. But occasionally, it may be that it's missed, or it may be that you took a class that we don't necessarily have a formalized articulation agreement with at that particular college, or you're coming from out of state or something like that. So that's when you might want to meet with your advisor or department chair to see a complete list of courses and maybe get an exception for something to count, we will work with you on that. But sometimes you walk in the door from your community college with up to 12 units already completed for your 54 unit major in human services. We offer 4 different concentrations, and I'm excited about these. So one concentration is what we call the General Human Services Bachelor Degree in Human Services concentration, a generalist. So this is most often popular for people who might be going into social work, because social workers do so many different things. They can do very clinically oriented things. They can do very nonprofit management sorts of things. They can do educationally oriented things. So social workers have a broad world of work ahead of them once they get their degree. So the generalist degree in human services is a pretty good preparation base for them as they move forward. We also have a concentration in mental health. This is specifically for people who are wanting to do like counseling, psychotherapy. So they're going to go do a master's in counseling, mental health counseling, marriage and family therapy. They want to become a psychotherapist, something like that, very clinically oriented. So there are specific courses that are affiliated with that. In that highlights of human services handout, we'll look at it again briefly when we're done with the PowerPoint here. Those are all spelled out for you. We also have a concentration in addiction studies. This is for individuals who are specifically interested in working with clients who are trying to manage addictive behaviors to either substances, could be gambling, sex, any number of things. But this concentration talks about everything from prevention and addiction treatment programs to the physiology, neurological experiences, brain activity of people dealing with addictions and everything else. And then, of course, our concentration in elementary education. The concentration in addiction studies has the potential to prepare an individual for certification with the state of California to get their CAT-C or their certification to do alcohol and drug treatment upon graduation and taking the test and the licensure test and passing it and all that. But we'll talk about that more in a moment. All of these concentrations show up on a student's transcript as well as on their diploma if they've fulfilled all the requirements for it. So let's say you did your concentration in mental health. On your diploma, it might say Bachelor of Science in Human Services, concentration in mental health. Again, it's still just a bachelor's degree, but for folks who have that specific interest and they're really zeroing in on those, I think these are nice concentrations to give students a chance to really focus on what you might be passionate about. So grades in your coursework, if it's your new major, you have to get a C or better. If you get a C- or below, you have to take the course again. All the courses are taken for a grade. There's 1 or 2 that you can take for credit, no credit. One of those, as I mentioned, was already was Human Services 300, the Character and Conflict class. That's a credit, no credit course. But everything else must receive a grade of C or better for it to count toward your degree. And there are many general education requirements that fall into that category too. So bottom line is you want to make sure that your grades are solid grades, all right? So, because in order to graduate from Cal State Fullerton, you need to have a grade point average of 2.0 or higher for all of your coursework. That's what we call a combined GPA, right? Your overall GPA has to be 2.0 or better. So not just what you do here, but what you've done at your community college or you're transferring in or anything like that. If you're planning on going into a graduate program, many graduate programs in counseling, social work, whatever it is, health, education, have GPA standards. So you'll want to be aware of those. Those are closer to 3.0 and above, some 3.5. So you want to be mindful of looking at your grades. Just always be mindful of them and work hard. And you may need some support. The good news is we have support for you. We'll talk about that more too. Something you're going to become aware of is your Titan Degree Audit, or your TDA, okay? So the TDA, the Titan Degree Audit, is your homework. You are the one who is ultimately responsible for choosing your courses, performance in your courses, and graduating when you want to. I'm going to say that again. You alone are the one who is directly responsible for selecting courses, the performance you have in those classes, and when you graduate. You will talk to advisors. We will provide feedback for you. We will provide guidance, but we're not perfect, right? Advisors aren't, they're human just like you. So how do you make sure that you are doing what you need to do to graduate when you want to? The TDA is a way to do that, is your best way to do that. So these links are handy. You may want to copy them. You may want to write them down. You may want to take a screenshot of this, whatever. But how to find your TDA, how to understand your TDA. There's a couple of tutorials there that I think you might find really useful. But your Titan degree audit is your contract in some ways with the university and kind of a way for you to track your progress. And if there's an error there, it's on you to catch it. Nobody else is going to be looking out for you as much as you are. So that's a message I'm trying to get to you. We want to help you, of course. So what does the TDA offer? Well, it keeps track of all of your general education requirements, your progress toward graduation, whether it's general education through your major, whatever. And when something either has a check or a plus next to it, that means that requirement is satisfied. If it has an X or a minus, it means that it's not, okay? So here's a couple of examples of what it might look like. So one of the first sections is called your core competencies, right? So you'll notice that this person has taken, you see the little green checks, that means those things are covered. So human communication 102, they transferred that in from East LA College when they took speech 101, right? So it fulfills that human communications requirement. There's in B, you see where it came over, in C, it came over, you can see where one of those came in from Santa Ana College. They repeated the course because they got a D in it at East LA College. So there's the information's giving us, the TDA gives us information. The bottom line is you see the green check, you're good. But notice the little red X next to, if we were to keep scrolling down, we come to C4, origins of world civilization. That X means you have to take something. The good news about what the Titan degree audit does, the TDA does, is it tells you what the options are. So you'll notice here it says take history 110A or honors 210A, right? The student does not have to take both of those courses, right? We know it only takes one class because it says 3 units, right? Classes are 3 units. So what's listed there are the options. Excuse me. So the student can choose either history or honors to fulfill that requirement. As we're going through, we'll see other sorts of things. Here's from general education residence units. Again, residence simply means that you're completing your degrees at Cal State, you completed the classes at Cal State Fullerton. So this person took their anthropology 101 here. And you'll notice that it requires 9 units. They're doing their second class now. That's what IP means, in progress, right? So they'll need a 3rd class to fulfill that. Requirement. So anyway, it gets, when everything's completed, you see that nice green check or a green plus or a plus, and you'll be good. Students will occasionally get what's called an academic hold. An academic hold is maybe put on a student's record, keeps you from being able to register, that sort of thing. If there's a bill that's unpaid, let's say you got a parking ticket and you haven't paid it, or any number of things, you can get a hold on it. We can do holds, but only holds, we can lift holds and maybe take them off if they're related to checking in with your human services advisor or something like that. But we cannot lift holds for anything outside of the human services department. So just be mindful of those. But you'll get emails. Now those emails will come to your university email, not your Gmail, your Yahoo, whatever. When you are an admitted student, you're given an email that's with the Fullerton, csu.fullerton.edu tagged with it. And so that's where official communication for you will be coming. So you'll have to make sure you remember to check those emails. So let's say now we're cutting through here. It's been a couple of years. You're like 85 units in. You can begin to prepare for graduation. You apply for it. We do what's called grad checks. So we will look at your records to make sure that everything's moving along well. But it's always, I think, a good idea to, when you think you're about a year from graduating, to check in with an advisor, go through everything with them. Try not to be too surprised, right? Because the last thing you want to do is find out that you've applied for graduation and you're getting ready to walk this May and you forgot that there's a GE that you didn't get, or there's some sort of major missing element, you're short on units. We want pleasant surprises, not unpleasant surprises. So about a year from when you think you're going to graduate, check with an advisor, try to get some information there. You can book scheduling advising right here through that tag. This is on our website. You can reach out to HUSR Advising. That's HUSR. That's the 4-letter abbreviated tag for the Human Services degree, HUSR Advising at fullerton.edu. And the advisor schedules about 30 days out. And then it freezes. So if you go in and there's nothing available, go in the next day, you might see that there is something available. You can also reach out to the department chair. At this time, it's me, Dr. Jim Ruby, jruby at fullerton.edu. And for fieldwork advising, you can reach out to Julie Martinez. So let's say there's some courses where you're struggling, you're not doing as well as you'd like, or you need some support. We have within our college, the College of Health and Human Development, just to make sure you're clear on that, there's the university, Cal State University Fullerton, and then there are several colleges: humanities, arts, engineering, and computer technology, right? Business. We're health and human development. We're in the College of Health and Human Development with several other majors: child and adolescent studies, kinesiology, public health, counseling, social work, nursing, right? So there's all of them. And then us, human services, here within the College of Health and Human Development. So the Health and Human Development, HHD is what we call it, has a couple of student success centers. One's here on the first floor of our classroom building in EC 105. And there's one in the kinesiology building in there, in 193. So there's study spaces, there's computer access, availability to print. There's little small rooms where you can have like study groups, all those sorts of things, and the hours are there. It's a wonderful resource to you. We also offer peer mentoring. So you're coming to Cal State Fullerton, you're new, you're trying to figure out, well, what's available? How do I, figure all this out? You can sign up to have a peer mentor, and that peer mentor would be an upper class human services student who can answer some of your questions about which professors to take, or you're looking at this list of maybe 20 different options for a GE course, and you would love some ideas from people who've fulfilled that category of GE, and what did they like and what didn't they. They can provide you with some basic information like that. They can also kind of introduce you to life on campus, because we have a Human Services Student Association. We're a school with Division I NCAA athletics, so clubs, organizations, on and on it goes. We want you to feel like you're plugged into the university community, and having a mentor can help with that too. So advisement, I've mentioned to you already how you can reach out. Again, you may want to take a screenshot of this one, how to reach out to people. We're happy to help support you along the way. And where are we located? You may be wondering. Where we call our central headquarters, on the 4th floor of the Education Classroom Building, or EC 405. When you get off the elevator, it's the door right in front of you. We share the office there with the Department of Counseling. 2 people in there, Ebony Threet and Leilani Thomas, are amazing. You see our office numbers and the phone number there. They're available to answer some general questions, help communicate with instructors for you. So maybe you're having trouble getting a hold of an instructor. The mailboxes are in that office, so if you need to drop something off for an instructor, they can put that there for you, one of your professors. They can help you with tight registration issues, all sorts of things. Wonderful, wonderful people. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And I know I just gave you tons of information. I'm going to give you a little more, so bear with me. So going back to the major, right? So here's those categories we talked about, right? Down here is these 18 units of electives. So what goes there? I'm glad you asked. Let me make it a little bit bigger, make it easier to see. Well, it depends on the concentration, right? Remember we had those 4 concentrations? Well, in the general Bachelor of Science, the generalist concentration, you need 18 units for your electives. Look down here, there's 18 units. So you can choose anything from these courses to fulfill those 18 units. That's why it's a generalist degree. If you'll notice, you could concentrate in kinds of, or you could focus on mental health things, you could focus on addictions things, you could focus on working with immigrants, refugees, whatever you want to focus on, those options are here before you. And it's pretty interesting. You can also tailor it even further if you're interested in maybe working with children in schools. It's different than the elementary education concentration. We'll talk about that differently. Or you want to work with the disabled population. Look at all these courses from special education you could take, things related to autism. So that's why this is a very broad generalist orientation to human services. Gives you a lot of options there. Or if you want to work with the aged population, right? More and more jobs are becoming available because we're living longer as a people. So as people get older, they need some assistance, they need some programming. And so aging studies, gerontology, those things are available to you as well. The second concentration is mental health. So again, we're trying to figure out, how do I fulfill those 18 units of electives? Well, as the concentration becomes more focused, the requirements become more focused. So just to scroll back up, if you look at the generalist degree, you get to choose 18 units from any of these courses here that you see listed. Mental health, it's gotten a lot smaller, right? 9 of the units have to be these. So there's 3 of your classes, and then you get to 3 more that can come from any of these, okay? So it's more constrained, but it's really designed specifically for students who have an interest in mental health related issues, want to go on and become counselors, psychotherapists, that sort of thing. Here's the concentration in addiction studies. Now, this one's a little unique. I want to make sure you follow this too. If this is of interest to you, it'll be important. Notice this says 18 to 21 units. Okay, well, the requirement to graduate is only 18 units. So why would we say 18 to 21 down here? We say 21 because if you want to be eligible to take that certification test that I mentioned for the state of California to become a certified addictions treatment counselor, you must take 21 units. You have to take all of these classes, right? So not just 18 from them, but 21. And one of your fieldwork placements needs to be at an addictions site. You can't just like work in a homeless shelter or working with the older adults or do kids after school. One of those 3 semesters is going to have to be an addictions oriented site. And so the fieldwork office helps you secure those and figure out where those are in your area and that sort of thing. And then the last concentration is the concentration in elementary education. So when you come in and you're declaring your major in human services, you have an option to declare a concentration, either generalist, mental health, addictions, or elementary education. What you select is really what impacts your Titan degree audit and whether or not you have a check next to certain classes and what's missing and those sorts of things. That's a lot of information, I know, and I certainly appreciate you taking the time to listen, but I really wanted you to have an in-depth understanding of what you're getting into if you're a human services student here at Cal State Fullerton. So there in the chat box, I just put the human services advising email again, huseradvising@fullerton.edu if you have further questions. But I appreciate your time, and I'm so glad that you're interested in coming to Cal State Fullerton as a human services major. I think you're going to love it. I think we're the best department on campus. Not just saying that because I'm in it, saying that because I really believe that we work with students who want to make a difference in the world, and we're glad that you're one of them. So thanks for your time.